and there's still dust in the air. It doesn't look bad in the pitch dark, but you can feel it.
Oh, yes. My allergies will tell you that.
Yep, it's
They
there.
will. All right, going live now. Oh, we are live. Rock and roll.
She hasn't hit the old.
Getting ready to
chuckles.
start the Charles talk.
Live from Venture X Studios, it's JP, Kathy, and the crew.
That's interesting.
Now I can. Maybe
Oh.
because your microphone was not hot.
There we go. We've got Dr. Norm Clothier with us this morning from Family Healthcare Associates. Good morning, Dr. Clothier.
Good morning.
You know, just real
Glad
quick.
you made it in.
Right? Well, I tell
Yeah.
you, I had the hood
We're
up
lucky.
this morning. I almost blew up my engine. So there you go.
I was like, that's not a
I
good
tell you,
thing.
it's time to buy a new car.
Yeah, it's time to buy a new car. So, Dr.
get-
Clothier,
or get
That's
the-
always
get the
guy's
cra-
answer to things. Right?
Get the
Right.
crack in his radiator tank. Is it a radiator tank?
no,
What
it's
is
the
it?
coupler on top of the radiator.
The coupler.
Yeah, they didn't make
Probably
Jeeps
a
the
blood
greatest.
pressure problem.
It probably is. So, Dr. Clothier,
Yeah.
before we
Or
dive into
infection.
anything and everything COVID, I wanted to ask a quick question. So, in mornings like this, when people are getting up and they're getting out to exercise, and it
Yes.
may be with the wind chill below 32 degrees, and these are runners and walkers and speed walkers, are there any precautions that they should take as they're breathing in that cold air and exhaling? Is there anything they should take precaution-wise?
Not really. We're a little spoiled here that we're talking about cold morning when it was 36 or something. The wind chill's 29. That's not even actually freezing air. That's just how it feels. And so it's very reasonable to have a cover on your face and to breathe through that cover, like, a face mask type approach or a handkerchief or a mask. And, those things, a bandana type of a cover. And that way you keep some of the moist air in. But if you just warm up a bit and then get going on it, you'll feel warm very soon. And you'll then keep from, getting too much cold air into the nose or mouth. I think it's very reasonable to use something on the lips, keep your lips from cracking. And then, of course, there are these things called gloves to help your hands. And wearing a hat, of course, keeps heat in the body, too. We lose a fairly higher percentage of heat through the top of the head than elsewhere on the body. But those things are all, very reasonable to do. And anybody who's out there doing regular exercise, you understand the development of seasonal adaptation. We'll call it that. And the coldest day I remember walking in the last few years was January 1st of, I think it was 2018. The wind chill was 2. Now, that was a little colder. The temperature outside, I think, was about 18. We rarely have days like that. But, a little extra cover is a good thing. People's lungs can withstand air that has been cold, but it is reasonable to keep the hydration and the moist, warm air with a mouth cover.
Well,
Again, I didn't mean to kick you off your normal subject,
yeah,
but
but those are some good questions,
It's
especially.
okay. I'm pretty happy to talk about something else.
well, that's what I kind of figured as well. I kind of figured.
COVID has occupied our last
Year?
10 and a half months.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's been
But
crazy.
it's time. We need to get started on the COVID talk. So I'm going to mention that, over the last 4 days, there's been talk about double masking. And I just wanted to give a new perspective on masks, because it's really the same old perspective. And that is, masks are easy to wear. They can be annoying. But, the annoyance of a mask is very different than the annoyance of being intubated, for instance, or dead. Those things are more annoying in many ways. And I think if you view wearing a mask kind of like, let's say, being a responsible gun owner. Now, this is not about gun freedom debate and such, but since guns are legal in America, and there are conceal and carry and there are open carry laws, there's this little thing on guns called a safety. And what that's for is to keep you from accidentally shooting someone, maybe yourself or someone else. And the minor annoyance, probably, I'm not a gun user, but I'm assuming the minor annoyance of flipping the switch off of safety and then being able to fire is not a really big deal. And that's kind of the perspective I put on wearing a mask. It's not that big a deal to wear a mask, but you're not going to shoot somebody with the virus if you're carrying it. If you have viral particles and you go into a store or a restaurant or church or your home or your mom's assisted living or wherever it is, you don't want to accidentally fire that virus in there and make people sick and potentially kill them. You know, most of the time, if you don't have your safety on a gun and you shoot them accidentally, they may not die. But it is a matter of perspective that they might. And if somebody gets sick with the virus, statistical odds are really good that they won't die. But if they're sick and carry that illness to others, at somewhere down the line, somebody's going to be in the hospital or debilitated or will die. And I think it's so simple to wear a mask. It's like putting that safety on and just be okay with that. So having said that, now in the last 4 days, there was Dr. Fauci saying maybe double masking is a good idea. And that, of course, is, you know, raises the issue again of what to do about masks. The real key is wear a mask in the proper way. It should cover your nose and mouth. It should fit your face well. It should be thick enough to stop viral particles. And it should, therefore, you know, his thought was if you wear two masks, you're going to reduce the odds of the virus getting out of the mask and going and infecting other people. One description was kind of like it'd have a viral particle would have to work its way through a labyrinth to get out and get to someone. I personally think if you have a thick enough mask, a proper mask, and of course the N95 is still the standard, but they are, I can tell you, uncomfortable. They're hard to come by. There are more now than there were a few months ago, but they are challenging to wear because they really rub on your nose a lot. You'll see a lot of people with abrasions on the nose and just frankly sores. So I think that's hard. But if you're in a risky circumstance, you know, let's say you are going in to see a family member in assisted living or a group home or something like that, it probably is most reasonable to wear two masks. If you're in a normal circumstance where you're practicing your social distancing, you're not extending your stay more than 15 minutes in a room with someone, in a, you know, relatively enclosed room, depending on the ventilation, of course. If you're washing your hands, being careful, and wearing a mask properly, I still think one mask is most of the time going to be fine. Now, I've had a lot of comments from people, patients and such, who said, oh, you know, I'm wearing my mask when I'm like outside for my morning walk, for instance, or if it's not as cold and you don't need a mask from the cold. And I see people out running and walking without masks. Well, that's outdoors. If you're close to somebody talking, you need to have a mask on. So if you're going for a group walk, I would recommend you wear a mask with people who are not in your usual core of people that you're in a bubble with. If you're just outside walking, running, biking, I think that it's fair to be out of the mask while you do those activities. The challenge is then when you go inside, you need to put one on before you go in, especially if you're, you know, breathing heavy or whatever. And that might be the time to consider a couple of masks. But I think the real standard still is the properly worn mask makes a big difference. The proper social distancing makes some difference. The proper not being in a room too long with a closed ventilation system makes a real difference.
Well, and we've got
Do we have any questions?
Oh, I was going to say, actually, yes, we've got tons of questions. Well, first of all, okay, so if you're a husband and a wife who are you're out walking your dog together, y'all don't need to wear masks. I mean, that's, you know, 'cause it's interesting. I see, you know, I know you know the patterns, especially when you're out walking dogs.
On whether you actually love your dog or not. Okay. No, just kidding. It is, I think if you are in your usual group, and certainly if you're outside with the breeze, you know,
right.
Walking and, you know, if you think about it, if you're walking briskly, you're carrying yourself away from any little viral cloud that will then dissipate. It's impossible to avoid every virus. We've known that for as long as we've known about viruses.
Well, I mean,
you know, but
we've been getting it for our whole lives.
If you're spending time with the person you usually spend time with, obviously a husband, wife, family, you know, that group, then I certainly don't think that it's a need. Now, if you are out walking and you see a neighbor out in their driveway,
and you're going
to
talk. Okay,
to them,
right.
you need to keep a considerable difference. I wouldn't even do 6 feet. I'd do 10, 12, 15 feet if you don't have a mask or put a mask on, because you don't want to get
and
that
so
person
I
sick,
think,
and
and
you
I
don't
think,
want them to get you sick.
and I think that's where there's so many misnomers, because I'll even notice, and I've got two more questions for you. I've even noticed like people who are in, a husband and wife, and I know they're husband and wife because they live down the street from us, and they walk their dog about the same time we walk our dog, and they'll still both have a mask on even though they live together. And then so that always kind of confuses me. And then what really confuses me, and this is kind of just a statement, are the people who wear a mask by themselves in their car while driving.
Yeah, well, I told you about that a few weeks ago. Yeah. Remember, that's where somebody's tied up in the back.
Yeah, we just can't see them.
They don't want to get them sick before they get ransomed.
There you go.
Yeah, I know people.
Yes,
okay?
the superhero side of you. Okay, so there's.
But anyway,
so we've got two questions.
Here's my thought on that. On both of those, the married couple with the mask and the
lone driver.
Right, exactly. Is that I think 3 things happen there. One is some people just are more comfortable in a mask because they hear every day about death, infection, risk, and it's just, there is an ongoing anxiety level. And if they feel better in a mask, then, so be it.
Right.
The second thing is I think we are getting to where we're so used to wearing masks that we just put them on and we don't even think about them in the car.
Oh, gosh,
Maybe if you've gone into a store and you're going home, you don't think about it. And, that can happen. And I think it is becoming a more common sight than what it was initially. Initially, it stood out a lot to me.
Now it's not as big of a deal.
See people in masks everywhere.
Yeah. That's interesting. Well, speaking of mask wearing, then Elizabeth from Arizona says, when will the masking stop? Though they are saying that even after the vaccine, you need to continue to wear one.
Yeah, the reason on that is a very important one is that the vaccine doesn't mean you do not get the virus at all. Very much like the flu shot. There is, it builds an immune response so that when you are exposed to the virus, your body will be more ready to attack it. So instead of getting sick, hopefully, you fight it off. That does not mean you don't get viral particles that you then have in your body and can expel. And so it's still important until we have enough immunity as a society. It's very important to wear the mask, whether immunized or not, because, again, if I've had the shots. If I carried the virus somewhere and I don't get it at all because I've had the shot and I don't get the infection, I could theoretically carry that virus for a handful of days and be a silent carrier, the asymptomatic carrier to people. So it's very important still to follow the same standard guidelines that we're trying to minimize infection in society with.
Okay. Okay. I'm trying to grasp that. That makes sense. But then we've got 2 questions from Randy. Randy says, does a carbon filter help in a cloth mask? And then his second question as a follow-up was he was exposed 9 days ago. So he was exposed to somebody who has COVID. He still has no symptoms. How long does he need to quarantine? Because remember, since you've been talking about that, the quarantine period has changed. So where are we with that now? And also, what are your thoughts about a carbon filter?
Those are both good questions. First, certainly the carbon filter filters out more than what anything else does. I think most people don't have access to carbon filters. There is, what you can do that sounds similar and it sounds kind of fancy is a coffee filter.
And I've got friends who do that. Yeah.
Yeah, into your mask. And you can then reduce, much like a double mask, if you put a coffee filter in there or a vacuum filter, either one, you will make the particles harder to get out of you and into society.
Okay.
And so those things are easier than a carbon filter. A carbon filter is a much more complicated issue to have and to maintain. So I would say a well-fitting mask and then some degree of extra filter is certainly fair, or a double masking, and those are all very similar. And if your nose can tolerate an N95, and if you have enough resources, get one, that's a very good choice. I mean, there's no doubt that's an excellent practical mask. It's just hard to come by and hard to wear for long because it does fit tightly.
Gotcha.
And that's why it's a challenge. And then going into the quarantine thing, if you're at 9 days out with no symptoms, then basically what the CDC is recommending now, and it all depends on the exposure, is spend your 10th day and then return to society.
Okay.
Right now, if you're in close contact with someone and neither of you has a mask on, and you get 15 minutes of exposure, the recommendation, even with no symptoms, is to do a 14-day quarantine. If one of you has a mask on and there's close exposure and it's 15 minutes or more, then the recommendation is 10 days if there are no symptoms, or, of course, a negative test. So the mask makes the difference there. No mask is 14-day quarantine. Mask is 10-day. And then if you're at a distance, like I had a question come up the other day about someone in a large church auditorium where two people didn't have masks on, and the family member of one of the people has COVID now, wasn't known then, what to do about that. And I would say unless the person in the room was positive and in reasonable, geographical contact with you, if you're in a large room with ventilation for less than 15 minutes, I would say there's no quarantine needed. If you're talking to that person nearly face to face, and you were in a mask, you then need to quarantine for 10 days. So it's all very complicated. There are so many variables. But right now, the CDC has even said if you're positive, and then you'd spend 7 days after your positive test plus 3 days of no symptoms, that you then can consider yourself to be negative and return to work or to, normal activities, that you don't necessarily have to have a negative test after. Okay. Part of that is there are people with extended positive tests and no symptoms, and frankly, nobody knows what to do about that because we don't really understand why some people stay positive. The other is the practical side of testing. We just, we don't have an infinite number of tests. So I think it does come down to practicality in many ways. And some employers still require a negative test before people go back to work. But if your employer doesn't require it, then you are safe at that guideline of what essentially is 10 days, 7 days after test plus 3 days of no symptoms.
Right. And I stand corrected. Randy is a female. So Randy, I apologize. And
yes, I know Randy. Randy's become a regular member of the show over the last couple of weeks.
I love it. I know. And we welcome her. Nice. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
You have groupies. I love it. I love it. Well, thank you, Dr. Clothier. That's great information. There were some questions, and maybe we can tackle these next week about CPR. And I know CPR in and of itself has changed over the years. I know it's changed drastically since when I had my kids to now, or not drastically, but it's changed quite a bit.
Yeah.
What do you do about CPR nowadays?
I'm actually going to go ahead and answer that because I think that's a very important one. Then I'll have to go. But it is, CPR, the traditional CPR that many people view as mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. Currently, mouth-to-mouth resuscitation is not part of CPR. Right. It is chest compressions to keep blood flow going, and somebody urgently call 911 to get that person to professional care. So you can do chest compressions. If the person doesn't have a mask on and you compress chest and they have the virus, they will be spewing the virus. So if you have any chance to keep your head turned away, open, if it happened to be in open air or if there's good ventilation, you'd probably be okay. But the right thing to do is learn CPR, take a course, very easy, and be ready to help save a life. Yep. I would put it up there with, for instance, if you see a wreck and somebody's trapped in a car, that's, the classic that happens in every TV show where, it starts on fire and you pull them out and you save their life. That is the right thing to do. You may get burned in the process. It may blow up depending on the TV show. And you then, maybe you're hurt in the process, but the right thing to do is try to help save a life. I would not let fear of the virus stop you from helping someone with CPR who's in emergent need. And that's just one of those things you run some risk in life. You run a risk by driving a car that you could be hit. And, I think we need to universally have people who can help save lives with proper CPR. And that's a very simple thing. It's been shown to improve outcomes for people if they have an immediate rescue and immediate call to 911. And I think that's just simply the right thing to do.
Right. And well, thank you. That's great information. And if you have a chance to save a life, I mean, I think that's just the right thing to do. And I would imagine,
absolutely,
the crew would jump on top of that. Yep. Yes, we would want somebody to do that for us.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Clothier. Just always great information. I think maybe next week, and we've already got some comments coming in, but people. I know Gail, who's a member of the crew, has said that she knows 2 people who have gotten cellulitis, which is a very serious condition. After getting the Moderna vaccine, so maybe some, dispelling any myths around the vaccine, and what about people who have become ill with something else, but that is something else that's also can be life-threatening?
We can address that. Absolutely.
Excellent.
I would still say, in the meantime, the prelude to that, the proper thing to do is get the vaccine if you can get it. And that's my first answer, and then we'll talk about some of the complicating issues.
Yeah.
Have a blessed week.
You too have a blessed week as well, Dr. Clothier. We really appreciate
Very
you.
good. Thank you.
Okay. So anyway, so we've got some conversations going on. I love all the side conversations that are going on. Faye Curtis, who was just in Friday, who just did a phenomenal job. She said she tried wearing 2 masks yesterday. And then Dr. Good says, and this is funny. She's like, Kathy, she goes, those people who drive with a mask on just forgot they have it on. She goes, I've done that. So I guess, it's funny. I'm so ready to take my mask off when I get in. I'm one of those that the cloth mask, I feel like I've got a blanket over my face. And it really exasperates my asthma and kind of just that mental thought of I can't breathe. So I always wear just those throwaway paper masks. I carry a box of them in the back of my car. So those are easy breezy to access. But it rubs my face. Like I've noticed my face, like my cheeks, because I've got high cheekbones, and then the tip of my nose from like the middle of my nose down are kind of raw on a regular basis. Like I have to go home and put some kind of lotion or something on because I feel I get. It rubs a lot, if I'm out at a meeting and I'm there for a couple of hours, or if I'm at a grocery store and this, now JP, this is shocking. And I get lost in the candle section for 30 minutes and I spend more time in the grocery store than anticipated. Then I come out and I feel that on my face. And I wonder, Faye, how was it wearing 2 masks? It seems like that would be like, I don't know, putting 2 diapers on a baby. I don't know. I know that's not the right analogy to use. It would just kind of, that'd be bothersome, I think. Have you ever done 2? Well, no, you've got a little thing. Explain that little thing that you've got.
I wear 2 diapers when I go to work.
Yes, he does. Well, because he's in all these truancy courts, which
Adult diapers.
Wednesday, want to talk about Dallas ISD with Dr. Good. I mean, talk about lack of attendance. They're having to physically go to kids' houses.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we're missing out on educating a whole entire group of kids because the school districts don't know where they are. It's heartbreaking. Heartbreaking.
I mean, you got to go out and find them.
Yeah,
you need to have policies and procedures in place.
Yes, you do.
And when you don't, it makes it difficult, and you've got to be willing to bring in experts that know how to help you with that.
Like Peyton Nixon Associates.
Peyton Nixon Associates.
Thank you very much.
Right?
Yes.
So Dr. Good does bring up an interesting question. She said that she saw people in a restaurant using double napkins to drink from their cup. Now, I don't know why they were doing that, but I can tell you this.
Kind of like making their own self-made koozie?
No, over the top. Drinking through the napkin.
Ew.
So I will tell you that is a old trick to get rid of the hiccups. So maybe they had the hiccups.
Really?
Yes, and the reason why is that you put it over the top of the cup, and what it does is it forces you to pull the water through the napkin.
Right.
And you do that to the count of 10, pulling
I'd
in
never
10
heard
drinks
about
of water.
that.
So it stops air from going back out, and then that gets rid of the bubble. And so you don't have hiccups anymore. So
interesting.
Maybe they were getting rid of their hiccups.
There you go.
That could be a thing.
There you go. know. That could be a thing.
That could be a thing. Double masking, not my gig, not my jelly.
Well, you
not my
wear,
jam.
but explain that thing that you wear that helps, because when you do truancy and everything, you're talking a lot. You're wearing it a lot.
My nose and mouth cup.
See, I think I need one of those because I think it would help with rubbing my nose raw like the mask
they had a straw
does.
through the napkin. Interesting. Well, there you go.
Is that kind of like the kids who are in orchestra or band and they cut a hole in their mask to put their mouth through for their instrument? I'd have to see that. That's interesting.
Then there's that.
And then there's that. Well, they
People
could do
will
like
be
what
people.
My mom. She brings her own like plastic Ozarka or whatever. Ozarka is usually her brand water bottle to restaurants with her. Now it's very rare that she goes to restaurants nowadays, but she doesn't drink out of any of the cups or any of that kind of stuff. So I don't understand the napkin.
So I guess that debunks the idea that they're trying to get rid of the hiccups. Who knows? Who absolutely
And Cindy
knows?
says 2 groupies. I love it. Yay, Cindy and Randy.
So, I guess the big thing with it is that take care of yourself.
Yes.
When you take care of yourself, you take care of others.
Yep.
I do think it's interestingly cavalier when I'm walking around a store and everybody else is wearing a mask except for like 2 people. And they're walking around like they're being defiant and they've got their chest bowed and they're proud that they're not wearing a mask. And I'm thinking to myself, you're such a fool. If nothing else, I do believe that the mask wearing has reduced the flu virus. Washing the hands, although we should have always been washing our hands anyways.
I'll never forget. We were still at our old radio station. And you and I started the conversation, and tons of people joined in, and tons of men, tons of our male members of the crew joined in. And I had no idea how many people did not wash their hands before this. Like, I don't know. My mom beat that into my brother and I.
The toilet paper crisis of 2020.
I know. I just sit there and think, my mom was like, oh, you didn't wash your hands. Go back and wash your hands. I heard water running for about 2 seconds. That's not enough time to wash your hands. And so then, in turn, I did the same thing with my kids. So they're hand washers. I still, every time you talk about people not washing their hands, I still have to say that, oh my goodness. Ew.
You just say, oh my goodness.
Ew.
So I tell you got to be careful that you don't get that at Valentine's Day this year.
We have
a big old
Valentine's Day, right? Well, it's February 1st, so it's super excited.
Countdown.
It's just the countdown is here, JP.
The countdown to the Hallmark created holiday.
Okay, I just like to say love is in the air. So, have you gotten your significant other a Valentine's Day present?
No, not yet.
Mine might be, and I'll know at 9:30 this morning. Oh. Michael and I might be getting each other a new wash machine. Oh. How romantic. Yes, so, yeah. So
well, you guys can stand there and wash together.
Yes, there you go. Friday night.
It's better than stinking.
And you know me, I'm obsessive. I mean, I literally, there's laundry being done every day in my house. I'm just obsessive about it. But, so Friday night, all of a sudden the spin cycle stopped working. I hope it's not the motor. You and I were talking about this Saturday morning, which, by the way, join us every Saturday morning for Kilroy's Conversation. I love that show. Just they're so fun. Andrew White and Chuck Wright, just great guys who have served our country. So God bless them. But hopefully it's not the motor. And if it's like a belt or a connector or something like that, then the guy's like, hey, I should be able to fix it. No problem. If not, then Michael and I are prepared to go out this evening and find a new one. And I looked at him and I'm like, okay, so I guess that will be our Valentine's Day gift to each other. And he's like, yeah. So you know what? I'd be okay with that because I'm big on the laundry. We were talking about appliances the other day and, Michelle, I can't remember what appliance Michelle said would be acceptable. But, I'm kind of okay with that. Now, I'm okay with $75 and the guy being in and out and being done. I'm way more okay with that working out.
You mean the washer repairman?
The washer repairman.
Yeah.
What did I say?
Did
that not come out the way I wanted it to come out?
I don't think.
I'm better with the $75.
Bree is off in her own world and missed that. But that would have definitely been a tea talk kind of conversation point.
No, okay.
I think I'm okay with the guy with $75 and in and out.
No, okay, I'm at $75. Like he's in
Like,
this morning at 9:30, replaces a belt, and then he's out.
I'm just saying.
I'm just saying.
You didn't say that, though. You said, I'm okay with the guy with $75 and him in and out.
Okay. Well, that's not what I meant.
Okay. Well, that's what it sounds like.
Yeah, because that would be an expensive Valentine's Day. I'm finish your sentence, Kathy. That would be an expensive Valentine's Day gift.
Oh, Lord Jesus.
No, somebody take it away, JP. Please help me.
Yeah.
Help
You really
me.
need to stop. This just got worse and worse. You just piled on bad. So how to avoid the most common Valentine's Day mistakes men make. And I love this site. It's Dumb Little Man Tips for Life. How great is that? Dumblittleman.com. So what to avoid, right? So you make it through the major holidays, right? You get through Christmas, you've gotten through Thanksgiving, and then Hallmark comes around and says, oh no, you're not done. It's Valentine's Day. How about this?
I love Valentine's Day.
What do you think the number one mistake men make on Valentine's Day?
Not getting a car. I think the hugest mistake would be is if you've got a loved one or significant other, if you just ignored it.
Bingo! That is number one.
So
ignoring
V-Day because it's in your
together.
face. It's in your face, isn't it?
Yeah, well, you would think so, but
I mean, you can't walk into a grocery store. They've even got at some of the grocery stores,
That's
like
the number
Kroger,
one.
They'll have a whole tent set up with just Valentine's
know,
Day. So
but
how do you miss it in the parking lot?
that's number one. Is ignoring Valentine's Day altogether.
I am blown away.
You hit number
You
one.
deserve
right on
to.
the head.
You just because you can do some sweet thing, even if you're low on cash or the budget doesn't allow for extravagant Valentines, which it doesn't have to be that. You can write a poem. You can write a real sweet letter. You can. I mean, there's so many things you can do that don't cost anything. Hey, put your feet up. I'm going to give you a pedicure myself or whatever.
Right, or you could give.
But gosh, ignoring it.
Yeah, ignoring it all together. Number 2, just signing your name to a generic card.
Oh yeah, no, no.
They say write a few sentences. Make it personal.
You want to write something, or like my husband and I have a thing. We're real big on XO. We've got or signing, putting your nickname for each other, or putting something else. And I'm real big on, because cards, my kids and Michael always look at me like, oh, is my card going to be the one that makes mom cry? Like for my birthday and stuff like that. And so I'm real big on cards for things like this. And I can tell if somebody just grabbed the first card or if they actually put thought into it, like, there she goes. I mean, literally, the kids and Michael will be like, there. Waterworks are starting. There she goes.
Worked.
So you can tell if somebody's put thought into that. And again, cards. And now cards are cards too expensive?
Well, they got
cards
$5.95, $7.95.
$7.95. Cards are more expensive than gift bags and tissue paper now. I think something's kind of out of control. It's kind of like college education. It's just ridiculously out of control. But yeah, so even if you can't afford a card, just get a piece of notebook paper out and write something sweet and put some stickers on it or draw a couple of hearts. That would mean the world to somebody. At least to me, it would. It would to you, I know.
Oh, sure.
Because when you open up the dictionary,
right,
not the Urban Dictionary, the regular dictionary, and you look at hopeless romantic, you will see a picture of our friend JP.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Sometimes that's
a double-edged sword.
Right. That's exactly right. So, number 3 is buying the quintessential Valentine's Day chocolate heart. So, the heart with little chocolates in it?
Yes.
Now, this is becoming a thing.
I like that, except I'm the one that takes a bite and puts it back in if it doesn't have the filling that I like. And everybody's like, oh my gosh, Mom, gross.
Well, here's the thing.
Well, then back off of my chocolate.
I think all moms did that. My mother did that too. So here's the thing, though, right? I don't get this. This is the reasoning for it. Not because it's generic, not because everybody's done it, not because of that, but because of this. All the women have already indulged through the holidays, so maybe they don't want that carbohydrate, sugar, calorie. And I'm like, it's Valentine's Day. Really? Are you shaming people to not want to eat fattening foods on a holiday.
Yeah, that would not be a day. I'd be like, well, I was going to get you chocolates, but I decided to get you a rose instead. Well, because
fat.
Like the COVID-20. That would be a worse mistake. I would rather somebody forget Valentine's Day altogether than say, yeah, I know you're real big on the conversation hearts. By the way, I am.
Right.
But,
So here's my thing. And Dr. Good says nothing worse than cheap Valentine's chocolate. That I agree with.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
If you're going to get Valentine's Day chocolate, don't get the one on sale.
Get the good stuff.
Don't get the one, and no offense to SpongeBob, don't get the one that has a cartoon character like SpongeBob on the front of it, because that's going to be like not the good chocolate.
And as long as you're farting hearts, you're okay. There, Gail.
Yeah, Gail,
So,
I know.
But so here's the thought, though, right? So if you're going to buy chocolate, here's my recommendation. You get See's candy and order it and have it delivered.
Love See's candy. And you know what? Again, do everything ahead of time, y'all. If you have not busted a move, right now you need to be thinking about a gift and doing something about it. And if you haven't made reservations, you might be eating Linner.
Right. And then, or Godiva chocolates.
Vodka or whiskey on the rocks is better, is what Michelle's saying.
So I would say that if you're going to do chocolate hearts, I highly recommend that. I don't know if anybody else likes them, but cherry cordials. I enjoy
Love those. My grandmother, Grammy, loved those. So and my mom still gets my brother and I a box of those kind of in remembrance of our grandmother. Grammy loved those, and she would freeze them sometimes.
Yep.
She would eat some, and then she would freeze some. Hey, Charles had a good comment. He said, find a $10 card, take a picture of the really nice words, then buy a $1 card and write the $10 words on it. Charles, that is not a bad idea.
Not a bad idea
That's not a bad idea at all. Plagiarism at its best.
At its best. So what are the other things that you want to avoid doing, right? Okay, so they say going to bed early and sleeping.
Oh, on Valentine's Day?
Yeah.
Yeah, that wouldn't be like, you know what? Let's hit the sheets by 9:00 tonight, honey. And then you hear snoring within 30 seconds.
Yeah, they're saying you better make an attempt at the intimacy.
Well, I mean, and at least, a kiss, hand holding. Like, to me, all the stuff that goes on before you get into the bedroom, and this is an early morning family show, so I don't know if I'm too much information, but to me, I'm big on, come over and, sit next to me on the couch and hold my hand, or, when we're out at a restaurant, put your arm around me, put your hand on the small of my back, all those. All the things,
soft touches.
Yeah, I guess soft touches is what I would call them. Just the sweet things that say
soft touches.
You recognize me before you get back to the bedroom. I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
you know what I'm talking about.
I say get naked on the couch and make it happen.
You're a hopeless romantic.
That's what I say.
Okay. And CJ's going to be like, give me a heads up.
Yeah.
So I'm out of here. Can I have the car keys?
If she's heading to the shower, I'm following behind. I love it. It's Valentine's Day.
Woohoo!
Forgetting to say the most important words.
I love you.
You can go through the entire day, do sweet things, and never remember to say, I love you.
Yeah.
So make sure you hit that.
And while I love seeing it in writing, if somebody looks me in the eye and says, I love you in person, like in real life, that has such an impact, because then that becomes a physical, an emotional thing all at once.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah.
All right. So
I've been hanging out with you too long, JP.
You think so? It could be. How about going overboard? Now, this one I don't agree with, because there are some women that love that. Somebody that'll buy a little something silly, somebody that'll buy something a little bit romantic, somebody that'll buy something a little bit intimate. So I say on number 6. They're like, buying a 10-foot teddy bear just isn't always the most thoughtful thing.
Oh, I think it depends on what your age on something like that. Now, back when I was in my early 20s, before I had kids, a 10-foot teddy bear would have been like, that would have been the sweetest, cutest thing. Now, once you start having kids and they've got their own 10-foot teddy bears, and you're like, oh, what am I going to do with this kind of a thing? I think that depends on your age.
See, I still love the walking Valentine's heart balloon.
Oh yeah, I know, those are fun. And
You
you
know
can
what
get
I'm
those
talking
at
about?
Party City.
The
Oh,
heart
heck
with the
yeah.
little legs and they walk.
Now they've got happy birthday balloons like that. They've got
Oh,
them
do
all.
they? It's
oh,
not
yeah.
Valentine's Day
yeah.
anymore?
But they still have Valentine's. Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So some quick things that may allow this to be a big win for the day. Number one, allow the day to be different. And this should be something that you
Because
try to do.
Valentine's is on a Saturday this year. It's Saturday
Yes.
this year. Okay. Okay.
You know, and this is something you should be doing every day. And this is what both people should be doing every day to each other anyways, to keep things happy and keep things different. And that is allow every day to be a different day, right? Whether it's a post-it note on the mirror that says, I love you. So when she wakes up, she sees that. Or you take her lipstick and you ruin it, but you ruin it by putting a big old I love you and you draw a big smiley face and
I would
then she
suggest
hates you,
buying,
but she loves you.
No, I would suggest, because I think that works when it's a woman. Like when my husband used to travel, I would have my red lipstick that I always wear and would kiss the mirror, and then I would do an XO next to it. I think if you're a dude and you're gonna do that, I would get cheap lipstick at the grocery store and use that, because if somebody were to use my lipstick to write on a mirror, there'd be a problem.
Yeah, unless I bought you 10 more behind it and you got them all throughout
Yeah,
the
but
day.
you would have to know exactly what kind and all that kind of
that's
good
not hard. I
stuff.
stole your original tube. It says it on the bottom.
My original tube is always in my hip pocket.
Even when you sleep, that's got to be uncomfortable.
Just about.
That's uncomfortable.
What pocket? No, just kidding. Oh my gosh. Wait, what?
I'm with you. Sleep in my birthday suit. So, but something else too, right? I mean, so let's say she goes downstairs or she walks out of the bedroom and you know that her first moment is at the coffee pot. So at the coffee pot, leave a little surprise.
Yes. Or have a fun new, like a little Valentine's Day coffee mug,
Right.
and serve it to her while she's getting ready. A fun little Valentine's, or have a little chocolate next to it.
Right.
It doesn't
And
have to
my-
be some huge, ginormous thing.
My favorite Valentine's Day individual chocolates, by the way, individually wrapped, is
Yeah.
Dove. Dove makes a really nice.
Oh, you and Charles Girl love the Dove chocolate.
I do for little
Y'all
individual wrapped
love
ones.
those. Y'all
I
love
do.
those.
So, because otherwise, pre-bought chocolates are kind of blech. All right, keep it personal. Yeah, don't make it commercial.
Yeah.
So they're suggesting though something like clean the kitchen for her.
Oh gosh, if somebody came in and mopped, I would be like, oh, thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Well, because that's telling that person I appreciate your time, because you're literally gifting that person time, knowing that they don't have to do A, B, or C.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Be thoughtful. So what does being thoughtful mean, right? It means that maybe you do an unexpected lunch. One of the things that I did, was it last year for Valentine's Day? No. Just in general, I think I've done this. I would take and have Courtney's favorite Starbucks, Uber eat it over to her.
Yes.
At work.
Oh, you do that. You used to do
It was
that.
not Valentine's Day.
I was
It was
gonna say
just
that
any-
was
every
just
day.
like any a day.
But just pick a day. Or if you know that she didn't pack lunch that day or she left her lunch, send
Have
her her
food sent.
favorite lunch.
Oh my gosh, yeah. That's
You know.
awesome.
Now, something else has kind of died off, but people are still doing it. Valentine singograms.
Singing telegrams?
Yeah.
Are those still a thing?
They're still a thing. And they have people that get dressed up in the full Renaissance gear and
Now that's
go
cool.
out.
Yeah, that's
and,
fun.
Yeah, so that's kind of a fun thing. Let's see. Keep it simple. Don't be expensive. Don't be grandiose. The KISS method. Keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah, and again, now we do, and again, one of the reasons I love Valentine's, Michael and I got engaged on Valentine's Day, and so obviously that wasn't a simple or inexpensive purchase of an engagement ring, but it had it had meaning, kind of a thing. Yeah, and talking about spending money, listen to these statistics. Okay. Here, where is it? Hold on. Oh, okay. Americans, well, first of all, Americans send 145 million Valentine's Day cards each year. That's crazy. But, again, you've got grandparents, parents, family who still send it to each other, even though they're not, husband and wife or spouse or significant other. Okay, so listen to these numbers. According to the National Retail Foundation, Americans spend over $20 billion $20 billion on Valentine's Day gifts in 2019. They are expected, this is crazy, and we're expected to spend a record-breaking $27.4 billion for 2020, including $2.4 billion on candy alone. People also expected to spend an average of approximately $196 for Valentine's Day last year. I get with the men spending around $291 and the women spending $106. That's a lot. I mean, is that including like a really nice dinner out?
I don't know. Does it say?
It doesn't say. So if that's just on gifts. So maybe we're not so far off giving each other a new wash machine, Michael.
Right, you're really not.
I mean, goodness gracious.
Catch up, Kathy.
Yeah. And so, then, go ahead.
Well, what I was going to say is, something else that you may want to do, and this is, again, changing it up a little bit, right? Start Valentine's Day on February the 1st.
Oh, that'd be fun.
And start leaving just little
little something,
or a little
now that's
chocolate.
Fun.
And every day leave one little thing. And then on the 14th, do something that is hyper personal, like, for example, making her favorite meal. And when she comes home, like, take a half day off. Don't let her know.
Yep. And have it ready when she comes home from work.
Candles are lit and everything's ready to go.
Have a when she comes home from work while you're making the dinner. If you can't take a half day off, then have a bubble bath drawn, or have a fun like a bath bomb.
Right.
And then she gets in, have water already drawn, have a nice towel out, have some candles lit, a glass of wine, and you go and cook dinner while she gets a bath.
See, now, and something else you can do is, again, have that dinner in the oven ready to go. Right.
Right.
Have petals leading to the tub.
Yes.
Candles lit.
Yep.
Okay. Then a little champagne or her favorite wine by the bathtub.
Valentines by JP.
I know, right? Now, hold on. This is the best
You
part.
love this stuff.
I do. Have a little pillow next to the tub. So when she walks in and gets in the tub, she kind of looks at you like...
Like a pillow? A bed pillow?
Yeah, like a little pillow, just a little pillow. And then have a little book of poetry sitting next to that pillow. And then when she gets in the tub, pour her wine.
And you can
sit down.
There you go.
And read her a little poetry to help her relax from her day.
Is Courtney watching right now?
I hope not.
Surprise!
So, but, I mean, again, it's some of the things that you can do, even at home, that will mean a lot by just making the effort.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many. Again, and we're going to continue the next couple of.
Well, we
weeks
have
and
yours
talk
coming
about
up
stuff.
on Wednesday.
Yes, we do. Well, and one of the things, and I've gotten a few things of this. Michael said, "Don't burn the house down." Insurance plug. He's an insurance guy, so he's like, with the candles, you're stressing him out. This was an interesting statistic. It said, "Hey, furry friends, they need our furry friends need love too." In fact, around 27.6 million American households gave Valentine's Day presents to their dogs last year. More than 17.1 million picked up gifts for their cats. All in all, American households spend an estimated $751.3 million on pets for their gifts, or gifts for their pets. I would believe it. Kira.
I will be shocked if Kira does not have a Valentine's Day outfit.
One of the most fun things that we did last year, I went and did a homemade bow, a Valentine's Day bow for Kira, and we did a photo shoot. Of course, we ended up with like one good picture out of 276 because she's a blur. She's always moving. But she'll definitely be in on all of my pets. Have always been in on all of the Valentine's Day stuff.
One of the key
we didn't even get to talk about AOC and Ted Cruz today.
No,
Not very Valentine's-ish.
We'll take care of that on Wednesday.
We'll take care of that on Wednesday with the Senate Minute and with Dr. Good. It'll be an all politics, all day show.
That's right.
Oh yes.
So
tune back in.
Here's the big message here, and I'm reading it on Restream Chat, which is, don't let it just all be on Valentine's Day or the month of February.
Yeah, spread it out.
Spread that out. Also, though, here's the other thing. It's not just an all-male do day. And so, really, Valentine's Day should be every day for the both of you.
Well, yeah, I mean, again, it's...
Keep it rich.
And get it, that person's, they're going to feel... seriously, a sticky note, which costs, 76 cents for a sticky note?
Does it cost that much for one?
One 5.7. I had a sense. I don't know.
I thought
but
it was like 3.5 cents
but it's
for one.
cheap. And here's the thing. You know, if somebody were to write something or just say, "Happy Monday, I love you," I wouldn't need it. That would be my gift.
Here's the fun part. A lot of times
Right?
your relationship becomes what you allow it to become.
Amen.
Then there are others that contrive and are bad people.
Well, that's a whole different topic for a whole nother day.
And
But you're right. You know, you get into these, and especially when you've been with somebody for a while, you get into these habits of just kind of, not putting out effort. Put out a little effort.
Little effort.
Little effort goes a long way.
Goes a long way.
Goes a really long way.
With that, we continue to talk. We'll be going a long way too. So have a blessed day, and we will be back on Wednesday. Get ready to talk
Love
politics.
y'all.
It's going to be heavy duty.
It's going to be crazy. We got Senate Minute with Senator Paxton,
We got
Dr.
Dr.
Good, AOC Ted Cruz talk,
Green,
Rachel,
Representative Green.
Representative Green talk. Just
QAnon.
oh my. Okay.
Have a blessed day, all.
Love y'all. Happy Monday.